conversation that Allah had with Musa alayhi salam on top of the mountain of Tur has been mentioned on multiple occasions in the Quran, and every time Allah mentions it, He highlights some details that are not highlighted in other places. So Surah Taha, the 20th surah of the Quran, is one such place. And here, part of the conversation, Allah is telling Musa alayhi salam what to go and say to the Pharaoh, right? And there are other places in the Quran where Allah has told him what to go and say in more brief language, but here we find some more details that we don't find in other places. So one of the things that he wanted him and his brother Harun alayhi salam to say is as follows. He said, go فَأْتِيَاهُ, both of you go to him, فَقُولَا, then both of you should say, إِنَّا رَسُولَ رَبِّكَ, we are both messengers of your master. We are both messengers of your master. So now they're not just representing their own God, their own master, like in other places in the Quran, إِنَّا رَسُولُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, in Surah Al-Shu'ara. We are both the messenger of the master of all nations and all people. But now it's more personal towards Fir'aun. We came on behalf to deliver a message from your master. So this is even far more offensive from a realistic point of view, from a political point of view, than even the other statement in Surah Al-Shu'ara. And I want you to understand that. A king, when back in the day, when you meet the king, there's supposed to be some kind of decorum. You're supposed to show some kind of manners. And you get it's a very special privilege that you even get access to have a conversation with the king. It's not a small thing. Nowadays, for example, if you're going to meet with a president or a prime minister or even kings in the world, before you can meet them, there's supposed to be an orientation. There's supposed to be, hey, this is how you're supposed to meet with him. When he comes, this is how you say hello, etc., etc. I've had the opportunity to meet heads of state a number of times in my life, and every time there's an orientation, and there are different kinds of formalities you're supposed to follow. So, for example, when I met a Tuanku in Malaysia, a royal is called a Tuanku in Malaysia, because they're Muslim, they took some of the practices that used to be there from before Islam and they Islamified them. They developed Islamic versions of them. So before Islam, you used to hold your hands and go like this, but we don't bow to anybody in Islam. So they still hold their hands, but they put the hand up. So this was the formality you're supposed to show to the king. Regardless, when you walk into the king, you expect anywhere in the world throughout history, such an honor to meet you, great king, thank you for the, et cetera, et cetera. And plus, back in the day, kings, they had the license on the official religion of the nation. So the religion of the king, in a sense, was part of the religion of the nation. And rejecting the religion of the king is like rejecting the king himself. So if you just decide to follow your own religion and reject the religion of the king, you are considered a traitor. This is an act of treason, punishable by death. In fact, that's what Surah Al-Kahf is about also. The young people of the cave who decided not to worship anyone other than Allah were actually insulting the local king. That's what they were. This is why they were punishable by death. It's not like, oh, you're a Muslim, you should be killed. It's not that simple. Because back in the day, and actually even today in many places in the world, religion and politics are confused with each other. And especially in kingdoms, this is the case. So, Musa alayhi salam is supposed to walk into the king's court along with his brother Harun. And you should remember, even though Musa alayhi salam is considered a royal because he was raised in the palace, or ethnically he's still from Bani Israel, but his brother is actually considered a slave. So he's not considered royal at all. So even them getting access to the court is going to be a big problem. But Allah is not even mentioning, you're going to make it, don't worry about it. You'll get there. But once you get there, imagine the king's court. He's got high up on stage, he's got his security guards, advisors, this entire scene. Like somebody nowadays, a similar scene to if somebody got a chance to address parliament or something, right? So they're down tier, and the people that are in charge are sitting up on top of higher chairs. So you have to look up to them. This is designed on purpose because you're supposed to look up to your leaders. You're supposed to look up to the people in authority. So now he's supposed to walk in there, and one of the first things he's supposed to say is, Inna Rasula Rabbik. Go to him and say, we are messengers that came on behalf of your master. As if to say, you are not the ultimate master. You're not the king. There's a king above you, and he's your king, in fact, your master, in fact, and we came to deliver a message on his behalf. This is what you consider an act punishable by death. This is an act punishable by death. And this is what he is told to go and say. So Allah tells him, both of you go, first make this demand and put him in his place. And the very next thing is وأرسل معنا فأرسل معنا بني إسرائيل الفاء السببية هنا. Therefore, because you have a master above you, that master gets to tell you what to do, and he's telling you what to do, which is what all the sons of Israel that you keep as slaves, you better let them come with us. We're here to demand on behalf of the ultimate authority over you that we get to walk away with these slaves of yours. فَأَرْسِلْ مَعَنَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. Right? Now, forget Fir'aun. Imagine going to like a prison warden and saying, I came on behalf of the ultimate authority. All these prisoners are coming with me if you know what's good for you. Next thing you know, you'll be in the jail cell, right? You're in no position to make such a demand. And on top of that, a king cannot allow for this kind of a statement to go unpunished. Because if he doesn't punish this, somebody else might say, oh, he's weak. Then I can talk like that too. So the king has to make an example out of you. He has to execute you, has to torture you for running your mouth in this way. But Allah has commanded him to say this, and this is the ayah that I wanted to focus on. This is still one ayah. وَلَا تُعَذِّبْهُمْ. And don't you torture them. Don't torture the sons of Israel. قَدْ جِئْنَاكَ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكَ ثَانِيَةً. And we have come to you with a miracle from your master. We have come to you with a sign from your master. Now, at the end of all of this is a statement which is actually what this khutbah is about. So Allah has commanded